Welcome to the new episode. Today, we will analyze the history of the United States. Before the arrival of the European explorers and settlers, various Native American tribes inhabited the land now known as the United States. These diverse cultures had established complex societies, economies, and political systems across the continent. European exploration and colonization began in the late 15th century with Christopher Columbus' arrival in the Caribbean in 1492. Subsequent explorers, including John Cabot and Juan Ponce de Leon, claimed territory in North America for Spain, England, France, and the Netherlands. The first successful English colony was established at Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. The Pilgrims founded Plymouth Colony in Massachusetts in 1620, seeking religious freedom. Over the following decades, more English colonies were established along the eastern seaboard, each with its own distinct economy and culture. The colonies faced challenges such as conflicts with Native Americans, disease, and harsh living conditions. Tensions between the colonies and the British government grew over issues of taxation, representation, and autonomy. The Stamp Act of 1765 and the Tea Act of 1773 provoked widespread protest and resistance, leading to the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War in 1775. The colonies declared independence from Britain on July 4, 1776, adopting the Declaration of Independence drafted by Thomas Jefferson. The war lasted until 1783, when the Treaty of Paris was signed, officially recognizing American independence. Following the Revolutionary War, the United States faced the challenges of establishing a stable government and defining its national identity. The Articles of Confederation, adopted in 1781, proved ineffective in providing a strong central authority, leading to the Constitutional Convention in 1787. Delegates drafted the United States Constitution, which created a federal system with a separation of powers between the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. George Washington was elected as the first president of the United States in 1789, presiding over the early years of the Republic. His administration focused on establishing federal institutions, implementing economic policies, and navigating foreign relations. The presidency of John Adams saw the passage of the Alien and Sedition Acts, which sparked controversy over freedom of speech and press. The early 19th century was characterized by westward expansion, driven by the belief in the manifest destiny, the idea that it was America's destiny to expand across the continent. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the country, opening up vast territories for settlement. The Lewis and Clark expedition in 1804 explored the newly acquired lands, documenting geography, flora, and fauna. The issue of slavery became increasingly divisive as the nation expanded westward. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 and the Compromise of 1850 attempted to address the balance of power between free and slave states, but tensions continued to escalate during this time. The publication of Harriet Stowe's novel uh, Tom's Cabin in 1852 heightened awareness of the cruelty of slavery and fueled abolitionist sentiment. The election of Abraham Lincoln as president in 1860 on a platform opposing the expansion of slavery led to the secession of southern states and the formation of the Confederate States of America. Civil War erupted in 1861, pitting the Union States against the Confederate States in a bloody conflict that lasted 4 years. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by Lincoln in 1863, declared all slaves in Confederate held territory to be free. The Union's victory in 1865 marked the end of slavery in the United States and the beginning of Reconstruction, a period of rebuilding and reconciliation. The 13th Amendment, ratified in 1865, abolished slavery, while the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, granted citizenship and equal protection under the law to all persons born in the United States. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, witnessed rapid urbanization and immigration, transforming the United States into a modern industrial society. Technological innovations such as the telegraph, telephone, and railroad revolutionized communication and transportation, spurring economic growth and urban development. The Gilded Age, marked by economic expansion and industrial wealth, also saw widespread corruption, labor unrest, and social inequality. The rise of big business led to the emergence of powerful monopolies and trusts, prompting calls for government regulation and reform. The Progressive Era, spanning the late 19th and early 20th centuries, sought to address these issues through political and social reforms. Progressive leaders such as Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, and Jane Addams championed causes such as antitrust legislation, labor, labor rights, and women's suffrage, and environmental conservation. The passage of landmark laws such as the Sherman Antitrust Act, the Pure Food and Drug Act, and the Clayton Antitrust Act marked significant achievements of the progressive movement. United States played a decisive role in both World War I and World War II, emerging as a global superpower in the aftermath of these conflicts. World War I, fought from 1914 to 1918, saw the United States join the Allies in 1917 and contribute to the eventual victory. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1999, established the League of Nations but failed to prevent future conflicts. The interwar period was marked by economic prosperity, cultural innovation, and social change. But it also saw the rise of totalitarian regimes and the onset of the Great Depression in 1929. President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal programs sought to address the economic crisis through government intervention, relief, and reform. World War II, fought from 1939 to 1945, saw the United States enter the conflict following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. The war ended with the Allied victory in 1945, but it also left a devastating toll in terms of human lives and infrastructure. structure. The United States emerged from the war as a global superpower with its economy booming and its influence extending across the world. The post war period was characterized by the onset of the Cold War and geopolitical rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Truman Doctrine, the Marshall Plan, and the formation of NATO were key elements of US policy aimed at containing the spread of communism. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s sought to end racial segregation and discrimination, leading to landmark legislation such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The latter half of the 20th century saw significant social, cultural, and technological advancements, including the space race, the civil rights movement, and the rise of the internet. The end of Cold War in 1991 marked the collapse of the Soviet Union and the triumph of liberal democracy. It also ushered in new challenges such as terrorism, globalization, and environmental sustainability. Throughout its history, the United States has faced numerous challenges and undergone profound transformations, but its commitment to democratic principles, individual freedom, and opportunity has remained a defining characteristic. As the nation continues to navigate the complexities of the 21st century, its history serves as a source of inspiration and guidance for the future. Thank you.